Oh, you want to be an MC? Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe it's a possibility. We'll see.
And that doesn't mean that I'm perfect, but I'm still making some mistakes. But I'm striving, I'm pressing toward the mark of the high calling in Christ Jesus.
What's good, y'all? It's your man, Kil.
This is Ev.
You tuned into the Prophet Podcast right here, and we got, straight from the door. I'm going to quote him from one of my favorite intros, from one of my favorite songs ever. We got Tajai from the mighty Souls of Mischief crew right here chopping it up with us. What's going on today, good brother?
Man, chilling, man. It's just cooling.
All right, man. We appreciate your time. Yo, Ev, why don't you drop science on what Prophet is, where it started from, and how it morphed into the podcast?
Prophet started as it was an idea first. I want to do something that focused more on the art making and the artistry of MCs and what that journey looks like, life journeys, obstacles, creative influences, all those kind of things. A lot of times when we talk about art, it's either like we're talking about a painter, someone who's actually, playing some type of instrument. We'll talk about all these various things, but one of the things for me was there's not enough talk around MCs. MCs are writers, MCs are poets, and it's an art form that needs its actual light. So when it first started, I was just going to do an album. It was like, I'll do an album and maybe I'll write something about it, maybe like a small book or something like that. And my wife, who's a choreographer in the dance world, was like, yo, we should do some kind of performance around this. It should be some kind of like multimedia, multidisciplinary type of performance. And the more we got into it, the more it started to flower. And when it started to flower, it actually was kind of dope. And it is kind of dope because it was still performing right now. It's really dope because we're actually being able to have conversations in different parts of the country right now, hopefully different parts of the world. We're actually talking to MCs and we're talking about the art form and the art making of MCing, and that what that journey looks like from when you're a teenager to when you're in your 40s or 50s, whatever the case may be. So that's how it started. And as we got going more, it was like, oh man, it'd be kind of dope to actually have some conversations with MCs that I hold and Kil holds in high regard. So with all that being said, we have again the mighty Tajai from the mighty Souls of Mischief here with us tonight. And we're just going to kind of dig into if we can, we're going to dig in a little bit, man. It's going to be not I don't want to do a standard like, okay, so what album are you working on now? Like, I want to do a little bit deeper as far as like, what's your journey? I really want to know about your journey as a lyricist, as an MC, and what that was about. So my very first question, I'm going to go all the way back to the release of your first album, your first debut album, 93 Till Infinity, dropped in 1993, which was an immaculate year for a lot of different hip hop cats. If I'm not mistaken, and quote me and correct me if I'm wrong, were you also starting your freshman year in college this year?
Yeah, I was. I had taken a year off to record the album, and then my parents were like, well, regardless of whether or not your album comes out, because you could get shelved or whatever, you have to go to school. Right. So I started in fall of 93, and I guess maybe a month after I started school, 2 months after I started school, the album came out. So it was wild. So I had to add a young lady named Sharifa Abdullah at Stanford. And she used to basically pick up all my work and fax it to me at the different hotels. This is, pre-internet.
Wow.
So I was on my homework, faxing it in, and we were out on tour with Tribe and De La on the tour where Tribe, it was Midnight Marauders album, and it was Balloon. Yeah.
Balloon My Stage. Yeah. De La, yeah. Yeah. Now during this time, because you were at Stanford, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So as an MC, putting together your first project, you're going on tour, you're also starting your freshman year in college. I don't know, were you on a scholarship or were you?
I think I may have had some little, but basically all my rap money went to school,
Went to school. Yeah.
Fortunately, I did have a way to pay for it with rapping, so I wasn't saddled with debt when I finished.
Right. Now, so this thing is so important to me because a lot of times during that time period, most MCs were either, you just got out of school, if you finish high school, You know, continuing education wasn't a big thing. Actually being quote unquote intelligent wasn't the thing like that, so to speak.
Kind of. I mean, you got EPMD met in college, right? Das FX was in college.
Indeed.
Redman
People
was in
forget
college.
about
Ice
that.
Cube
Right.
went to college. You know, like I think that it wasn't talked about because there's a sort of persona of what an MC was supposed to be. But you know, Mo D went to college. Young MC. You know, like a lot of these guys, especially we talking about lyricists. You think about F Squad, Hit Squad, like real rappers and stuff like that were in school. So I think that it's kind of a misconception too that the rappers put forth because street cred was so important at that time, or it was important to be connected to the streets. I think now we live in a lot more complex world where, you know, you can be a Stringer Bell on the mic too. You don't have to necessarily be just a Avon, you know what I'm saying? Or you know, a Marlowe. I'm not to use the wire. I'm just trying to.
I already see. We
Kill is like he's a big wire head. You're in the right
all day. We're
room.
gonna be talking in codes all day. So,
So as a lyricist, for me, one of the things with Souls of Mischief was your style was so different or so abstract. During that time period, it wasn't a lot of people that were doing in and outs like that. Y'all had, you had 4 different MCs doing in and outs. You had a style that, to me, that was quite different, and it was dope. Was that all Oakland? Was that just your internal nucleus of MCs? Was just like y'all just in a tent by yourselves? How did your style come to be? How do you feel like that happened?
I really think, you know, we were in a situation where iron sharpens iron. So we were really in competition with each other. You know, so I'm in a crew with Casual, with Dell, you know, Pep Love, who's just like a human drum machine, you know. So I really feel like it was us trying to better each other. Even with the in and out, it was more like, I'm about to throw you this dime. Let's see what you can do with it. More so than I'm about to set you up. Now, I think as we've progressed, it's like, I'm about to throw you this, you know, it's going to be smooth. Before it used to be like, I'm about to throw this hard pass. You better catch it and you better score, because we were trying to push each other. But it definitely was about the nucleus of our crew, because I mean, you look in the Bay at that time, it's the Coup, E40 and them, Too Short, you know, Spice One, Digital Underground. Like, I'm naming groups that basically we live within a 30-mile radius of each other and don't sound anything like each other. Paths cross, we in the same clubs, we going to the same parties, we messing with the same chicks and everything, but completely different styles, you know. So I think our style developed, like you said, we went into our little chamber, our little tent, and came out, you know, whoever emerged victorious was the one. But of course, we were friends before music, so this is not something where there was a competition, maybe say in like a Wu-Tang way, right? Where these guys are like, okay, I'm from this project, so I'm representing this, and we're all from one neighborhood together. So we grew up together, and, you know, we battle each other, but only to build each other up, not necessarily to best each other for some sort of crown of supremacy inside of the group, even though it was a serious competition. It was always friendly though, and based on a familial love and foundation.
Do you remember who the first MC was out of y'all 4? Was one person got somebody else won?
A plus.
Word.
Yeah. A plus has been a man since he was like 6. He's Jamaican. He's first generation American, so you know he had a lot to carry. So he was gonna make it no matter what he decided to do. But yeah, he definitely was the first MC. And I say maybe A plus and Dell and Casual would be sort of the forefront. And then the rest of us, as far as taking it, you know, seriously, like this is what I do. And then the rest of us is sort of like, you know, hoop, to play football, that different stuff. And it was like, yeah, I do this too. But A plus and Dell. But as far as in the group, A plus was on it early. You know, I remember they always talk crazy about me because they had this one thing where had a poetry assignment. This is probably 2nd grade or 1st grade. I think 2nd grade. And they was all writing rhymes, you know what I'm saying? I mean, 2nd grade, that's about probably 82, 83. And I wrote a poem about clouds. And then every now and then they just be like, clouds. And I'll be like, oh, come on. To this day, you know, we almost in our 50s and everything. They still like, yeah, what's up with them clouds, man? You know, so it's funny.
And my last question, Kil, before I pass it off to you is,
yeah, no doubt. Take your time, bro.
What was your, like, was it a conscious decision as far as what y'all wanted to write about? What kind of MCs you wanted to be? Or was it just like a natural progression of just who you were?
We grew up in an era where MCing was about self, being larger than life, being like a comic book character, so we're looking up to the Rakims and Kanes and LLs, and you could rap about Melly Mel's, Grandmaster Caz. Well, you could rap about rapping, and that was enough. And so I think that as time progressed and, guys came out with more, so the Slick Ricks of the world came out with more story rhymes, KRS, etc. We grew up on the best. So even then, when we talk about iron sharpens iron, like we're kids, but we're competing with not the good MCs, the best MCs, like standing the test of time best. I mean, when we talk about Rakim, Kane, G-Rap, LL, Chuck D, that KRS, right? Just and those are who we're aspiring to be. Like any four of them could be the Rushmore right now, even right now with what they're doing right now. And then when you add, like you look at G-Rap, where he's at right now, he's still up there, rhyming at a higher level than a lot of the guys who I think are trying to imitate his style. So I think that that's another iron sharpens iron thing. Like, look what we're trying to be, like look at all these young basketball players, the things that Wemby's doing, it's just like, he's just like superhuman, but he's grown up on LeBron. He's grown up on he's had the benefit of everybody from Dr. J to LeBron showing, and Kobe's and all these people. So the way their bodies move now and the things that they can do are incredible. And so with us, we were trying to beat the best, and not, and MCM was about beating the best. It wasn't about, I just be rapping. It wasn't about that at all. Like, it was like, you rap? Like, oh, you okay. It's almost like you pulled a weapon out. Like, okay, what you about to do with that thing? Like, and that's how it was. Always friendly. You look at the battle scene now, and them dudes is monsters too. Like, they go crazy too.
They go crazy. Yeah, they go hard in the paint right now.
Yeah. I mean, the level of insults that they're getting out off then. I mean, now it wouldn't have flown then, right? It would have been a bloodbath every time. But even that, it's like a MMA versus boxing thing, right? I think they're doing something different, especially when they're not rhyming over the beats, etc. And it's more about tearing the next guy down than it is about bigging yourself up. Not that there's anything wrong with either of those. You got to have all that in your quiver. But when we were coming up, it was about being superhuman, being the best. When I think of Rakim Allah or knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everybody, or you know what I mean, the ladies love Cool J, like these are like comic book names. This is like Black Panther or Superman. This isn't like Clark Kent or T'Challa. Like, these are bigger than life personas, and that's what they were putting forth on the mic. So that's what we were trying to emulate.
Beautiful. That's crazy. My question, you just said with Oakland, it's so many different styles in a 30-mile radius. Where do you think that comes from? Because most people, I don't ever want to typecast anybody, but when you think Queens, you're thinking of a certain type of style. You know what I mean? And a lot of them, not and no disrespect to say that they sound the same, but Mobb Deep and Nas, they had their done language. It's Capone and Noriega. Brooklyn has your Big, your J, your Kane. It's a certain swag to it. But like you said, you just named 5 groups that sound totally different from each other, yet you all respect each other. So how did that work in Oakland?
I think we're a lot smaller, right? We're a city of 400,000. You would never think that, right? Because we have 3 major for sports teams. Right. We had, all these movements from the Panthers movement and all these the hippies and all these things come out of here. But we're a tiny city. So I think the need to be different is what fuels the diversity of styles. It's like, you can't rhyme like that person. That's how they rhyme. That's hieroglyphic style. You can't use and biting was, almost literally like the only rule, right? Bite, you got to rhyme and don't bite. Those were probably the 2 main rules of MCing. So it was very important for everybody to distinguish themselves. Like, even in Hyro, like, we have a certain style, I guess, when you hear it, but I think we're also guided by our words so much that the style is not. It's not like we, like Nori's got the kid, listen, like that's Nori's style. You can't say that with Hyro necessarily, because our style is based on the combination of words we choose, and then also the beats that we're choosing, right? So you could say it has a Hyro feel, but you can't just be like that's a Hyro style. Because if you listen to, or you can say that's a Hyro style, but you can't say that's the Hyro style. Because if you listen to every record that we come out with, we're trying to move away from what we did before. And so the need to distinguish ourselves from the others is, I think, in a small pond is the reason why the E40 doesn't sound like Boots doesn't sound like Humpty doesn't sound like Shock G. You know what I'm saying? And a Tajai doesn't sound like a Festo, etc. I mean, that was really important and still is really important. And I really feel like that's something that I lament the loss of that more so than the loss of good subject matter. I lament the loss of regional styles, individual styles, and being able to tell who's rapping. Like, and then not just be the voice, because I think that anybody can write a rhyme in anybody else's style because the style has already been created. It's like the template is already like an ice cube tray, right? So I could pour the water into the words of the water. I could pour the water into that tray and create it. You look at Das and everybody was biting them, or you look at Migos and everybody's biting them. Or now, I mean, you look at, I don't even know who is the style generator of this current style. I mean, but I'll listen to 10 records, right? And I'll be like, wait, is that Playboi Carti? Is that Kanye? Is that who's the other guy? Travis Scott? Who is that right there? And it won't be any of them. It'll be somebody else. So shout out to all the dudes who do still maintain distinct styles, because that's the most important thing. Right. Lyrical content now and style to me are like the most important things in this thing that we do, like even if you have a style, and I tweeted something recently or said something about that recently, like having a style, I respect it if that's your style and you claiming it, but really having one style, it's like you're like the field goal kicker, man. You got to be able to play all the positions, especially because the beat is going to determine what's going on. I mean, we could go into that.
No. I see exactly what you're saying. Yeah. You gotta have.
Oh, just a quick question. My bad. Go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Around that, talking about styles, your personal style, and the way that you've expressed and been inside of your art form. One, have you felt like it's gone through seasons and evolutions? As an MC, I feel like I go through evolutions with the actual form, like with my form and my art itself, and how I write it, how I spit it, the whole nine. Have you felt like you've gone through that? And if so, how many times do you think you've kind of went through a thing and came out different, and went through a thing and came out different?
I try to do that. I mean, and this is obviously not possible. This is aspirational, but I try to do that with every beat that I touch. If my whole thing is, then this is just personal. I want to use these are two things that are generating my animus, right? I want to use word combinations that nobody's ever used, right? So if I say something like "come visit me," it's real Iraqish. Had to wield my ratchet just to build my racket. Like, ain't nobody said something was real Iraqish, like in rap ever. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm trying to use, and then I'm also trying to use everyday sayings, and then rhyme them with different things. You know what I'm saying? Though, like, if it's good for the goose, then it's good for the gander. You know what I'm saying? And then rhyme that with something that nobody else has used before. But so it's either using something that everybody has heard, a regular phrase, and flipping it with a rhyme pattern that's new, or using phrases that nobody's, like who said, I mean, you understand what I say when I'm like, it's real Iraqish out here, but nobody's going to say, like, I know nobody has said real Iraqish, even, as many times as Nori say Iraq, I know he hasn't said something like that. And that's so my style evolves in that way, and also in what the beat, I'm real vibe inspired, right? I don't write rhymes not to beats. If I do write rhymes not to beats, they're freestyles that I'm gonna kick on a written that I'm gonna kick on a show or something like that, a radio show or something like that, or in a cipher or whatever. But for the most part, if I'm writing, it's a song and it's to the beat that I'm writing to. So my hope is that whatever the beat brings out of me is different than what the previous track or the next track is going to bring out of me. So there's been, hopefully it's a constant evolution created by those three sort of tensions. But then also there are times where, like, you look at Meth in the shadow boxing style, right?
Right,
like
right.
that was a quantum leap, right? In just how somebody attacks a beat. But he kept running with it. So no longer what it was like, it became that, okay, you're using that shadow boxing style on this other joint. You know what I'm saying though? But he had created a definitive style with shadow boxing. And my fear is that sometimes, you know, when you got something that's good, and especially because it works, right? If I do this little dribble behind my back and I break your ankles, I might do it again, right? You know, so it works. So I get the need to rehash it, especially because there's so many word combinations. You could run that forever. But for me, I hope when I listen back, I try to listen to, like, we're making a record right now. I try to listen to the songs in succession. And if I'm falling into a pocket, I just change that rhyme. I'll be like, nah, let me scratch that. Cause I want every single song that you listen to, they'd be like, oh, he got loose. You know, like I would rather you think my rhyme was weak on a certain song than be like, that was that same style from over here. That's really important. And I'd like to shout out Freestyle Fellowship for that, and just freestyling in general, because that I think is what enables you to move like water in the beat instead of fighting the beat, you know, because how can you have the same style over 10 beats? Like, to me, that's crazy, but people do, you know, and there are guys who are very successful like that too, you know, like that, just say, hey, this is what I do. I'm gonna do it over this, and this is just what I do. For me though, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm sorry.
I see that, man. It's a lot of alignment, especially when you talk about like writing to the actual beat. Like for me, the beat is always the blueprint, and the blueprint is going to be different for every song. It's going to tell you what the song is about. It's going to tell you how to ride it. It's going to give you so much information. And you know, listening to that and thinking about this idea around freestyling and going back to the ciphers. Ciphers is not one thing I have seen a lot in the last, I don't know how many years. As far as like in worldview, like if there still are freestyle ciphers, it must be happening, you know, the way it was happening back in the day. But my question is, when you're looking at those kind of things and this evolution of your style, do you think that you are more deciphering of it in your later age, right? Like right now, or were you always doing this even from back in the day?
Whew. I think that I care more about it now because legacy is important, right? Like, I don't really even be doing features, you know what I'm saying though? And the reason is not because I'm fortunate that I got a job and I don't need it to survive. I don't got anything wrong with rappers who do like live off features. But for me, I'm kind of like, my legacy is my catalog, right? So if I'm gonna do something, okay, if G-Rap calls me up, yeah, I ain't even gonna charge, you know, like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not just getting down with everybody, because in the end, then you have this catalog. I don't know. I heard a couple songs that I did, and I'm just like, this, I don't never want to be on another track with a guy this week. Not because I'm being snooty, but because your catalog is your legacy. So I think I'm paying more attention to it now. Like, look, okay, if I only get 20 more verses, you know, to spit, all 20 of those got to be sharp and different. You know, and so I'm paying more attention to it now. However, it's always been like, if you listen to the first record, the second record, like part of the reason why Souls of Mischief can't, you know, we haven't broken past this sort of weird underground glass ceiling that we have, is because every record we make, we destroying you know, like we're burning it down and building it back up from scratch each time. So if we're starting over from scratch, there's a progression when you pull out far enough and look at the records in order, or a record different. But we almost are creating a whole new fan base every time and alienating the current fan base. So it's always from jump been important. I'm just more conscious of it now, because as we age, we're more conscious of time and our, you know, our fewer and fewer chances to do that. And also, like, I'm not one of them dudes like, I'll freestyle forever and all that kind of stuff, but I don't want to even hear myself just 1,000 songs. Like, when guys got 1,000 songs, I'm just like when dudes be like, this is my 30-second album, da da da. I'm just like, I can't even really, how do I get to know you when you got 32 albums? I know you could probably you could take the best out of all 32 of those and maybe pare that down to 6 or 7 albums, you know, because it just doesn't seem like it's possible to have that much quality stuff. There ain't even that many topics. And so a lot of these, I'm trying to be diplomatic about this, you know what I'm saying? Though,
You don't have to be, but it's up to you. I understand.
I just think that a lot of guys are overburdening their listeners and almost it's starting to turn like Charlie Brown parent voice. And it's good, but it's nothing that stand out. And that's important, right? When we think about like art and culture and fashion and you know what I'm saying though, and culinary arts, like the things that really, and architecture, like the things that move people, it's not the suburbs, right? It's not 80 row houses that look exactly the same. It might be that first row house that created this concept, but when you're looking at 30 things that look the same right next to each other, it's not moving you in the same way as when you look at, you know, the Empire State Building or, you know, what's that building, the flat building, you know, in New York. Like those are things where it's like, ooh, they was in their bag when they made this, you know, or you know, like I just don't want to be Chicken Alfredo rap, you know, like it's good, it's great, but I just don't want to be that same old, and that's real. I guess really important, you know. And I'll use this analogy, and I'll say, like you think about fashion and the people who take risks. And this doesn't mean, okay, you take a risk like the Playboy Cardi outfit the other day. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm saying you look at Ralph or you look at certain, I mean, oh man, there's this jacket company called Norwegian Rain where it's just like, they're, you know, what let's look at low. What Ralph is doing with the colors, it's primary colors, right? It's not mauve and, you know what I'm saying? It's primary colors, but then he's layering them and putting them together in a way that even though it's classic, it's still daring. Even now, and you could take a piece from, you know, 30 years ago and pair it with something brand new, and you still finna be the flyest cat because of the risks he's taking, but still within that realm of these sort of primary colors, and that's why it's still you can still mix and match it. So I'm not saying you got to take risks, so be so risky or just be trying to be different for the sake of being different. I'm saying that you can work within a certain set of standards and take, you know, you decide those standards and then you take risks within those standards, but you got to keep taking risks within those standards. You know, Polo could have just stopped at the polo shirt, right? And he probably would, you know, I mean, that's that thing, right? And the horseman on the short, it's a polo shirt. It is what it is. He could have stopped there and probably made some cool money, but then he elevated within these parameters that he set forth for himself. The fashion world didn't set forth this thing. He set it forth for himself. And now look, you know, to where my kids are stealing my pieces, you know, and it's 30 and I got daughters. I'm saying my daughters is stealing my pieces. And it's 30, 40 years later.
My language, man. My daughter takes all my low all the time too.
All the time.
She'll come home from school and I'm like, yo, you got all my low? Like what even ask? Like, yo,
for real. And I think the people who are the greatest, you can understand their parameters when you look at it. You're like, okay, he's not going to say a nonsense word. He's not going to rhyme the same word twice. He's not going to do what I call a lot of dribbling where you just nah, he's going to shoot, you know, and he's going to, you know, he might shoot from this same spot every time, but how he gets to that spot. And then when he shoots, what he, you know, he hits every time. I mean, you think about a guy like 38 Special, for instance, when we talk about somebody who perhaps has one style, but you never know what he's going to say, right? So he's running, he has that same setup, but he keep on scoring on you because it's just like, oh, I didn't know, you know, damn, he just keep on, you know, he keeps on beating me to the basket. I know where he's going to shoot. He's going to shoot from that spot, etc. But because within his constraints, he's so creative with it. He creates these classic rhymes. I think he's like, when you think about the whole Griselda or that movement, that upstate New York movement or whatever, like him and Rock Marcy to me are like my favorites. And that don't mean like Conway's impressive. Benny, you know, Benny might be the most impressive, you know what I mean? And Gunn, I mean, like he does his thing. But when you think like every time Special hop on the mic, everybody listen. You could tell in the studio, they all like, I gotta beat him. You know what I'm saying though? and he's like a game changer. He elevates whatever song. I mean, and shout out Stove God too, because I like Stove God, but Stove God is almost the opposite. He's like, he gonna do something different every time. There's no Stove God style, right? He does it different every time. And so I'm trying to be somewhere in between them, probably leaning more towards the Stove God, but also want fools to know, okay, when I get here, you might as well start running down the court because this is money right here. I'm always hit from here. However, how I got there is different. You see,
right?
I'm gonna make this distinction. What I'm saying is, and I don't even hoop. I'm just saying, I'm just using this analogy because some people like Stove God is gonna shoot from a different spot every single time he goes to the basket. He gonna throw, he's gonna flick it one time, sky hook it, dunk it, etc. Right? Let's say Spesh is gonna shoot from this same spot, and you got to make sure you beat him to that spot because if you don't,
he got his money.
And even if you do, he's gonna make it because he that raw, and that's two different types of players that are both like, they put numbers up.
Right. I think one of the things that I'm hearing is about, when you say your legacy, it's about what you're leaving. So it's about wanting to be the best. And I think that that's what differentiates a lot of NBA players and a lot of MCs is wanting to be the best. I remember Steph after his rookie year back in 96, he said, I got to bulk up. I got to come back because I was getting killed in the post. Like I was too small. So I got to bulk up. So every season, Marbury would be like, I got to come back with something new to my game so that people can't ever just, know me for that one thing. And I almost say that that's what you're saying. Like out of every song, you want to come back with something different so that the competition can't zone in on you and know how to stop you. Like, okay, we thought we could stop him this way, but now he's going to his left more. And, he had the 3-point game, but now he's got that mid-range pull-up now, So how do you do that over every track? And let me say this. I'm a producer. I don't rap. I wish I could rap. Y'all are like superheroes to me. Like y'all like Ev is one of the dopest MCs. I've known Ev since we were 12. So he's one of the dopest MCs I know. So I just fan out around y'all because y'all are like superheroes to me. So how do you come up with a different style? Like how do you coach yourself through that to come up with something brand new? Because I'm sure there's a young MC out there who wants to do that. They just have no idea how to. Like this is the only style I got. So how do you do it yourself to come up with a different style every time? And like you said, not that you do it, but that's your goal.
That's my goal. Yeah, exactly. Because we all fall short of our goal, right? You said bulking up. I would say part of bulking up is track selection. You know what I mean? No, like it ain't just your MC ability, right? So when you want to make that, when we're talking about legacy and lasting impression and all that, a lot of guys. And I'm a Nas fan. Like a lot of guys are like Nas. Achilles' heel is his track selection, but now that he's got one Hit Boy, it's no longer a weakness in his game, right? Like I'm not the Nas pick. I'm not in the Nas. You know what I'm saying? I'm not Escobarian. You know what I'm saying? No, but I'm not in the Nas picks week.
Oh,
like,
God.
Is one of the greatest, right? Golden Child. Like so. But part of bulking up is better beat selection, and then you picking better beats. It's almost like better shot selection, right? So you picking better beats is going to it's going to bring it out of you because the beat is what brings it out of you, right? I mean, it's all 4/4 time, but all these different pockets that exist, the melodies that exist, the way you interact with the melody. Like rap is a percussive. We basically percussion players for the most part. You got guys like Young Thug or Micah 9 who are horn players. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe a guy like Charlie Tuna or something. It might be a bass player, right? But for the most part, we playing the drums, right? Like it. So there's so many beats that you can hit. Listen to the beats more so than the words. Scat your rhymes first. Read the dictionary, not so you can be coming out with these $15 words, but so them little connector words. So you're not always like and, like, then I, you know what I'm saying though? So picking better beats because that'll give you more terrain to build on. Not necessarily using words as your guiding star. use the beat as your guiding star, and then fill the words in, right? And then having enough words that you're not going to get lost in, where you have to say some nonsense. If you study the dictionary, you're going to be able to say anything. I think one of the reasons why Eminem is so nice is not because he's using big vocabulary words. Keith Murray probably got him beat on Scrabble word score.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's because he uses regular English, he's able to, his style really is conversational. You know what I'm saying? He's just talking, but he's able, because he's a good talker, to move around with such fluidity that he never gets lost in his little rhyme pattern. And a lot of guys get lost in the rhyme pattern and then start saying nonsense or using poetic license, which is fine to make, it's like they painting over it. They covering up the little cracks. Whereas I say a guy like M, it's just conversational, and he's using, with the Carl Kanai awkward eye thing. Like none of awkward's not everybody uses that word, Carl Kanai is an urban rap designer. You know what I'm saying though? He's using regular terms, but he has enough of them in his quiver that he can fill up these little holes like that, all these little beats, and so it's using the beat for what it is, which is to guide you. Using words are just sounds, so using the sounds to also guide you, and then making sure that you have enough words to fill those sounds out in a coherent manner. And I say those three things will step you up. And listen to jazz, listen to bass lines. Don't being a producer. Actually, A+ is a producer, right? But he's actually hella talented at rapping because he rhyming the shit where I'm like, I didn't even know that was. The only reason I know that hi-hat or that horn is in there is because you was hitting that horn. And then I'm like, oh, damn, his flow is going with this, So I think listening to more than just the melody, I'm learning the piano, but listening to the bass, listening to the piano, listening to the chords, opening yourself up, and you don't got to get high to do none of that. You just got to get quiet and you'll hear it all. And then once you do that, you'll be able to use all those things instead of be fighting against them. And a lot of times I think with a lot of these rappers, I think that's part of the reason why battle rap is not over beats, is because that you can't be fighting two wars at once, right? You got to fighting this guy, so you can't be fighting the beat as well. That'll throw you off. The stuff that I'm amazed by the level of skill that these battle rappers exhibit. I probably will never listen to any one of their songs ever, right? Half of them don't even make songs, but what they're doing as far as entendres and flipping people's names backwards and the research they're doing, that is an amazing skill. But I think it would be hard with the beat because now you're fighting a war.
Now you got to put it inside something. Yeah, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult. No, I feel that.
Yeah. And people are skilled doing that too, but it's two different skill sets, right? And if you can blend them both, you get No Vaseline or The Bitch and You or one of them joints where it's like, damn, he killed him and this beat is hard, or this beat it's even better over the beat, right. But yeah, I think those three things will get you better. Ain't nothing wrong. Read the. I don't mean when I say read the dictionary. Read the real. Get this one. Have that on your if you at a studio or whatever. Don't use the phone. Use the dictionary, because the phone will only tell you that first little Google answer. You know what I'm saying though? And I don't mean find what is a word that means this. No, read that motherfucker. Read it like a book. You're not going to use but probably 30% of it, but that 30% will have you 200% ahead of people who just want to use everyday pedestrian speech. Because when it comes down to it, we probably only use a small percentage of our vocabulary, right? Sure. But you take one word and one regular ass word like awkward or orange or whatever, and you put it in the right place, and all of a sudden it opened. I have a vision. I am an architect, so I have a visual MCing style. So it's almost like Tetris, but it's like you drop this thing here, and then it opens up all these different pathways, and then you can choose whatever pathway after that, right? But you have to drop this thing here. Things hinge off of this thing that's dropped in the middle, Right. And so that one thing is what I'm saying you'll find in the dictionary, perhaps, if your vocabulary isn't extensive. But for the most part, we rapping in regular words. When you start using them $5 words, fools, you know, it starts sounding like that Shiggy, you know, it starts sounding like Charlie Brown parents talking to you. So I try to stray away from that, except when I need it to unlock all these different other rhyme sites, and they need to be opened up.
So it's very clear at this point in time that you are you study this craft, and so much. I salute my hat to you so much, because a lot of times, you know, it's hard. You don't always find MCs that actually really study the actual form and study other MCs and able to, you know, to come to definitions or resolutions as far as what these styles are. So my question is, as you progress into say you're in your 40s now, I'm in my 40s. And for me as an MC, one of the hardest things was topic of conversation. Like I'm never a person that's going to go and I'm not going to talk about the street or the block or whatever like that, because that's not me. But topic of conversation was a thing that I fought with for a little bit as I was going through these evolutions. Have you had your own like hurdle that you had to jump through or climb over as your pen progressed into going into your 40s or into your 40s?
What I try to do is compartmentalize. So, you know, I've got a project called Rap Noir. It's all street shit. I wear a mask, you know what I'm saying? I wear 3-eyed executioner mask. So it's not really me. It's my voice, but it's not me. And so I don't want anybody thinking that I'm trying to, you know, this, that, and the third. However, I live in Oakland. I've seen and done half of this shit. It's just I'm also a college kid and a nerd, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to have the outlet to do that. But what I have to do is compartmentalize that into projects or this song. It's almost like remember AG had on his first album, maybe it was Hard to Kill or something like that, where, you know, showing AG, real certified cats, right? Really, you know, he's going to showbiz,
especially
certified,
showbiz.
right?
Yeah,
certified. There's a certification, you know, no need to even show the paperwork anymore. Just okay. But their music was fun, lyrical, you know, lively, about MCing and all that. But then, you know, AG flipped on the Hard to Kill, like, yeah, but you know, this is part of my story too, right? But he didn't stay there. He said, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know I could flip like this, but I do all these other things as well." You know, I think Ghostface treads that line well, because I mean he's, you know, a rapidy ass rap dude, but then he can also touch on the street stuff and in a rapidy way too. And nobody, you know, like they don't see. It's not like, oh, Ghost, what you doing on this rap shit? Or, oh, Ghost, why you talking about the street shit? It's all Ghostface, right? So for me, getting older, if I'm doing a song about kicking it and smoking, well, I don't drink, I don't smoke none of that shit. Like, if I'm doing a song about that though, that's because I'm in my adolescent chamber, right? Or my late 20s chamber. You know what I'm saying? If I'm talking about hoes, it's because I'm on some pimp shit. I'm not a pimp. If I'm talking about women, it's because I'm on my man shit. These might all be on the same album, though. I try to separate it by project because I know sometimes when you have too many different things, it starts to seem schizophrenic to the people who are listening to it, right? It's like, okay, he doesn't know what he wants to be. I'm an MC. I could be anything. So I'm hopefully dropping age appropriate jewels in everything, or approaching it from the perspective of having gone through it and not just talking about these hypothetical situations. But I don't ever feel like, you know, I'm 48. Like I'm gonna talk about some hoes till I'm old. I'm gonna be, you know, Marvin C. So, you know, I'm gonna be Clarence Carter. You know what I'm saying? I'm also talk about building a family and being a father. Or I'm, you know, if I'm gonna be on my Rap Noir shit, I'm gonna talk about, you know, cooking some dope, or, you know, making some ghost guns or whatever, you know. But I am a dad of, you know, a former soccer player and a girl who's on the crew team. And I am an architect, an architectural designer, and I'm an entrepreneur. Like, but that's who Tajai Massey is. Tajai the MC is all that shit. I could fly. I got X-ray vision. You know what I'm saying? No, I could do all that shit. Like the concept that and this is where I kind of differ with even the whole Joe Budden controversy, where he was talking about how Drake's music hasn't shown progression.
Right.
Who cares? Aubrey, whatever his name is, that's a person. And that guy is a smart businessman and a dad now, and somebody who hires people and keeps the economy moving. Like, he's an important person in the world. Drake is Drake. Drake is he's a man whore who, man whore who is misunderstood by the women, wants to love somebody but doesn't love himself. That's not him. That's not Aubrey. That's Drake. Let Drake be Drake. Because it's almost for, I think people get mad because the persona doesn't age with the person with the listener, right? And I'm like, well, then you need to be moving on to some other shit. He don't got to do shit. He's making Drake. That's Drake. Like, he makes Drake music. Like, that ain't for me. That's for that same age. Like, my daughter 12 is listening to Drake, and that's about when my other daughter was starting. Like, that's when it's for girls who are 12 to 24. You know what I'm saying? Though, like, teen heartthrobby type thing. I was saying this the other day. Like, there's a Taylor Swift to Drake pipeline for like 11 to 13-year-old girls. And it's I mean, if they studied this thing I'm talking about, it's probably a 1-to-1 correlation, right? Where it's just like, you're into this poppy sappy stuff, and then you want to move into something slightly more edgy. You know what I'm saying? Though, and then that Drake pipeline is like a Drake to Odd Future, or Drake to what's the guy? Frank Ocean. Kind of, where it's like, I want even more edge, but I still want, you got to show some love to the ladies, and I want some love songs in there and some these type of chord progressions and all that kind of stuff. So I think at MCs, we universal. Like, we're griots, or you know what I'm saying? No, we are channeling something. And so we should be able to channel it no matter what body it comes through. And I'm hoping that with AI, as far as visually, we can then send it through whatever body it needs to be sent through to get the people to get that message through. Like, I don't mind if I never show up on another video again, as long as it's my voice coming out of something. Maybe what it's coming out of needs to be more age appropriate, So I don't mind if my rap is coming out of a big ass panda bear because I'm rapping about some panda bear shit. You know what I'm saying? Or if my rhyme is coming out of my body because this is me. I'm talking about my family, my kids, my life, etc. But we're channeling something that is immortal and universal, and we should be able to. It should not be a struggle to cover anything. Some of that might have to go out the ghostwriter's, door. Like, okay, man, this ain't me. I don't feel comfortable saying this, but this shit is fly. Somebody got to say this. But I don't. But that's ageism, and I don't want to call it sexism, but you know what I'm saying? Though, like,
right,
certain things. It's just like Lil Yachty writing for the City Girls. Lil Yachty can't kick act up where you get smacked up. Like, he'd be like, what's this bitch ass? You know what I'm saying? No, but he should be able. Ain't nothing wrong with him writing that for JT and Carisha. And that's dope to me. I like their music more than I like his, and he's writing their biggest hits. So we should be able to be universal and not feel no weirdness about it. That doesn't mean in your personal story. I'm not saying that if that's how you feel, cool. I'm just saying be free. You should be able to rap about anything. It also hurt my heart when Andre was saying that, right? Like, I'm 40, I'm gonna rap about colonoscopy. Like, nobody want to hear no rhyme about a colonoscopy. Rhyme about the shit you've been rhyming about. Your biggest record covered so many things as far as emotions and love and all this kind of stuff. And it wasn't because you were, 30 or 27, 28. It was 80-year-olds who love that stuff. It was 70, 60, 50-year-olds on down to 10, 12-year-olds who love that stuff because it's universal. And I think we are allowing ourselves to succumb to this ageism by circumscribing our ability to cover certain topics based on our physical manifestation. That's anti-MCing to me, right? And that's what I mean by it kind of frustrated me when Bud and the this is all happening in my telephone. None of this is happening in my head, right? It's just things I see. It's like, hey man, like, that's Drake. That's what he does. Like, he makes Big Macs. You know what I'm saying? No, he doesn't. It doesn't have to be Wagyu. No, who wants a Wagyu Big Mac? You know what I'm saying? No, we want the Big Mac because it tastes good with the all beef patty, special salt. Like, hit me with all that same shit. And that's what they go to him for. So it's kind of unfair to say I expect different because in real life this guy is this, that, and the third. He'll get to that, or he maybe not, and he'll always just be Drake, forever young. Pac and Big have the luxury of being frozen in that 25, 27 age range, right? To where we can only dream about their potential and what they be talking about right now. But they have that fire, that young nigga fire, that angst and rage and all that kind of shit. And it's encapsulated, you know, they like James Dean, right? It's just
Right.
forever young, forever beautiful, forever angry, forever fuck the system. I mean, most likely what would happen if either of them live long enough is the niggas will fall off, right? Because that's what happens, right? Especially if you stop. So I mean, they're fortunate to be frozen in that, but I think we're all fortunate to be here and be able to cover the wide range of topics, any topic that we want to.
Right. Let me ask you this: being an architect, does that give you a sense? I would think that gives you a sense of freedom that you don't have to, you know, go whatever route hip hop is going right now for a check. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, and I'm just wondering, like, I remember when, you know, Nas got all the, you know, the ring deals, and it's like Nas is, you know, making all this money now. And I was like, yo, I really think he could possibly, like, this is before the whole King's disease, because it was like, he was going on tour with Wu-Tang, and I was like, yo, this next Nas album could be dope for two reasons. One, he has financial freedom now. He's not having to worry about, I got to cater to this audience, anything like that. And then two, I'm like, yo, he's going on tour with Wu-Tang. Like, being on tour with these other MCs, like you said, me and Ev always talk about how iron sharpens iron, you know, and it's, then we get the whole Hit Boy, you know, 6 album run, you know, that's incredible for an MC of that age.
They got him Grammy.
Right, they got him a Grammy. You know, got him Grammy nominated twice. He won the Grammy. But how does that freedom of knowing, like, yo, I don't need rap to pay my bills? You know what I mean? Like, I'm good. Does that give you a whole sense of freedom? And do you think you would have that same freedom if you didn't have that? Like, if, you know, I'm amazed by your story. You're talking about I'm on tour while I'm doing work at Stanford. Like, bro, I was struggling at Morgan State just doing the radio station, and you're at Stanford. So, like, just the correlation of, like, not having a gig and having to do what people have to do, and then being able to be in your position where you're like, nah, I'm good. Like, if I don't need this for money.
Or also, does it? My other side of that question is, does it do something to the hunger?
I think both of those are valid, you know,
Okay.
and so you have to then reach deep within to remain hungry. And so my hunger is not about paper, right? Because I got a job, you know, which all rappers get a job. It will help your. It will free you up.
Back in the day, Chris said that. I remember Chris back in the day. Chris was like, "Don't." Yeah, KRS-One had a thing. Did a lecture at Temple. He was like, "Yo, if you want to be an MC, find another way to make money."
Yep. Because then you can keep it pure. So the hunger for me has never been to go platinum. The last time I thought I was going to go platinum, I was 17 years old making 93 till, and even then I was like, you know, gold was successful for then, right? You know, Tribe was barely going gold, you know. So since then, it's always just been, let me just make the best record. Like, we don't get no radio play. We barely get college radio. I mean, there ain't no college radio, but I'm saying we don't, our current success is because of streaming, right? And it's because our fans can select to listen to us all day long, you know, because nobody's listening to the radio. We ain't been on the radio. Our last song we had on the radio was maybe You Never Knew with Hyro in 98. So still that's 26 years ago, right? We don't got no radio hits. So it's never been something where I'm like, I have to do this to get paid. So my hunger is just for supremacy, right? And I, you know, as you get older and you realize how subjective people's opinions are, I'm not, of course, in my mind, I mean, I'm Ev, you the best, right? Like, right? You the best, right? You know, he's like, yeah. What you think? Yeah, I'm just calling you to ask you a couple questions. I'm the best, right? So in my mind, of course, I'm trying to be the best, but I'm okay with niggas just being like, that nigga was ill. You know what I mean? Though, like, yo, that, you know, like, you look at a PD Crack. You know what I'm saying? Though, ain't nobody about to question PD Crack abilities. You know what I'm saying? Though, like, that man, he ill. You know, he might not be your favorite. You might not think he's the best, but nobody's gonna question whether he's not an ill ass. Like, he's ill. Anytime you listen, every time you speak,
you hear that voice. You hear,
it's like, okay, he's about to drop something on me. And so I'm that's what keeps me hungry now. Is I just want niggas to be like, did nigga, what? You know, and I want to drop Easter eggs. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I want to hear people to. I don't want you to understand. Well, this has always been Hyro's thing, right? We don't want you to understand it right off the top. You know, like somebody's gonna understand. I flipped the script like this, like a dyslexic actor, but some people, you know, at a certain point, they're gonna be like, "Ah, this nigga wild." You know what I'm saying? Though? But and so I want them to just in their personal time reflect and be like, "Oh, that nigga's ill. Oh damn, his whole rhyme was about this, but he was really talking about this, you know." And I didn't peep until I went through it, you know. So that's where the hunger comes from. It's not so having a job doesn't stop that hunger. You know, in fact, it almost increases it because I'm like, oh, these niggas sleeping. They think because I don't be rapping all the time that I don't be rapping all the time. And I'm like, even I think it was this morning or yesterday morning, and my daughter was like, huh? And I was like, what? And she was like, what'd you just say? And I was like, I was rhyming. And she was like, oh yeah, I forgot you're a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm mumbling to myself while I'm driving to work. You know, I'll hear something. We listen to jazz usually on the way, so I'm hearing something, you know. But I'm, you know, she's hit me, and you know, I'm rapping like all the time. When I'm designing, I listen to instrumentals. When I'm designing, I'm listening to instrumentals because I draw pictures for a living. They don't fight each other. It's different for some reason. I can use both parts of the brain. So I write all my rhymes really come from long drives and shit, or me while I'm designing something. I mean, recently with this new soul stuff, because it's a group record, we're writing in the studio together, right? But normally my you know, I'll if I drive to LA and back, I'm gonna have 2 songs done, you know. But I feel bad for my passenger because I'm gonna play that one track for 6 hours straight. You know what I'm saying though? And because I can't write it down, so I'm gonna play the one track.
You gotta keep playing it. You gotta, yeah.
But now you said when you and Souls are y'all doing an album, y'all are all writing together. Is that like on purpose? Is that like, you know, okay. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because Ev and I always talk about, me and Ev talk all the time. We have all these philosophies about recording and the setting, and you know, this person moved over here to this city and now it don't sound the same. So is that something you and Souls have always done? So you just know like this is what we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We always you know, one of our members lives in LA. And so even then, if we have to leave him a space, we're going to tell him the number of bars. We're going to send him the record so he can hear the last line and first line. We're going to say, hey, well, this is where we got to. And then this is where he's ending up. So we need you to fill this. You know, it's going to be like an assignment. But for the most part, we write all our rhymes. I mean, we have to because, you know, there's the in and out thing, but also like, right. We're doing a lot fewer freestyles and more like, and when I say free, I don't mean off the top. I just mean, you know, raps and more, everything is conceptual. So if it's conceptual, somebody can't just drop a dope rhyme in the middle of it because it don't matter how dope it is. If it doesn't go with the concept, it's going to mess up the continuity. So yeah, when we make our records, we make them together. I mean, say if a guy is by himself, he's going to stop after at the most 16, maybe 24 if he's feeling really, you know, excited or whatever. But he's going to stop and wait until somebody else comes, or he's going to send it out to the group chat, you know, the group text and say, hey, I'm working on this. But we have to be conscious of our structure because it's 4 of us, you know. And then with this new music style, like it's 4 of us, and we're trying to get it all done in under 3 minutes, you know, because everybody's attention span is
yeah. Right. Yo, that's crazy. One of the things that always struck me, James Mtume, he always talks about the 3 stages of artistry. And he talks about imitation to emulation to innovation. So kind of like, you know, you're starting off, you're imitating somebody, you know what I mean? And then, you know, you eventually, he talks about how, you know, you may get to emulation. Some MCs get stuck in just imitating. Like when I first started making beats, 94, every beat sounded like Primo. If we went through my ASR 10 box, every beat is like Primo. Then eventually you start finding your own style, and then eventually, boom, now you're in the whole world of innovation. And you're who was your imitation person? Like what MC when you first started writing, were you imitating from?
LL Too Short. You know, and I can say my body.
That's a huge piece right there.
You know, that's when I'm 11, 12 years old when I start really not getting beyond. I mean, I'll say the first song me and A Plus made, it was called Perpetrators. It's like perpetrators are the ones we hate. They come out and bite from state to state. So that's Run DMC, right?
Right.
Right. But then when I started really getting into it, LL and Too Short. So the LL with the expression and Too Short with the accent. And then topically, like, okay, lyrical supremacy, hoes. You know what I'm saying? Like somewhere between there. You know, I mean, and then so that's who I was. But if I listen to old demos now, and what's crazy is a lot of them rhymes, I sound like Guru. And I'm talking about my demos from when we were 11, 12, you know, small. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy because I was a Gangstar fan, but I didn't realize how much I sounded like Guru then, right? And then, of course, like the G-Rap school of MCing is, I think, the most prolific and dangerous school of MCing. So, you know, you start off LL, you know what I'm saying? I'm a light-skinned nigga, you know. So there's that superficial, like, I look like him, I can be him. I just got to do some push-ups, you know what I'm saying? Give me a Kango, right? You know, and then when you hear a G-Rap or a Kane, you start refining that, right? I mean, when you think about Black Thought, you think about Nas, you think about Big Pun. Like these are people from the G-Rap school of MCing, you know, like direct descendants. There's no denying that. I'll say Nas is G-Rap and Lord Finesse with some Rakim. Like, but how can you lose with that combo, right? Right. Or, you know, Big Pun is just like G-Rap, but just supersized, right? Just like, you know, I'm taking it to the next level. And Black Thought is just like, ooh, Black Thought's good, you know, he's a phenomenal talent, you know what I'm saying though? But you can see the effect that G-Rap had on, like he might be the valedictorian of the G-Rap school of MCing, right? Yeah. But it's definitely from the G-Rap school of MCing. So I'll say that G-Rap probably bumped me up. Lord Finesse, Chill Rob G, you know, so these are all guys where I'm 14, 15, and I'm looking at different ways to tap. Grand Poobah. Grand Poobah. Probably birthed a lot of
them classes. Took some of them classes.
Yeah. I heard some old Grand Poobah, and guess he's from the Slick Rick Dana Dang Kango crew. And if you listen to him, you're like, how could I have not known that? But until I'll try to send it to y'all. I found an old Grand Poobah clip, but it's like, you know, that's definitely
that's
Kango crew, right? You know,
yeah.
Dana Dang. But I didn't know this until recently, and I'm like, I didn't see that. Just like Run DMC, I got a young homie who I DM with a lot of times, and he's like, I didn't like Run DMC at first because I thought they sounded like Soul Sonic Force, and I was like, what? But then when you listen to Hard Time, spreading just like the flu, watch out. Oh, that's Planet Rock. But I did, you know, but I couldn't see it because I couldn't pull out far enough. You know, I was like, Hard Times that's what do you mean? That don't sound that. But now I'm like, oh shit, that is kind of like Soul Sonic Force. It's not funny, Hard Times, all that kind of stuff. So me, Run DMC, another one, because it was me and A Plus. So that's probably where the in and out comes from, right? Right. Because what's the point in being in a group if you just rhyme. Man, Leaders, Das Effects, Kwame, UMC, shout out to Cool Kim, you know what I'm saying? Though, like these are all guys who all now we're in our emulation rather than our imitation phase, right? So now it's like, okay, we like the way they swinging it, but we got to be different, you know. Who else? DOC, like DOC. Trying to think. Oh, Super Lover C. Super Lover C. When you talk about complex and multisyllabic, he was doing it way before a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Come on, Super Lover C gets loot and doesn't get those kind of props. And I'm like, Super Lover C will probably eat 90. I heard him on that 50 MCs or something. And I'm like, oh yeah, he still got it. He's obviously got his rap folder gets used. You know, So you know, but that era, right? So now we're you know, and then like Kid and Play taught us how to make party jams and sort of lyrical fun songs, you know. But that whole Herbie thing, I think they were first on the cusp of making like breaking through to that not pop, but more mainstream sound, universal sound. But like Salt and Pepper first album, Salt and Pepper was hardcore when they came out. Fat Boys was hardcore. So all these things got us. We from the imitation to emulation, and then fortunately, I'll say we found our voices before we came out. You know, but this was after 10 years of solid hip hop being my religion, being a real practitioner, a daily practitioner of rap daily though, you know? And now, I mean, even daily, I tell my youngest all the time, like, look, I'm an MC. I'm a rap today. So you are what you do. You aren't what you say you do. You aren't what you want to do. You are what you do. I'm a rap today, and I'm gonna draw some buildings. Them two things, and I'm probably a cook. I'm a fat ass. I'm a rapper, and I'm a fucking designer. You know, I'm gonna do those three things, no matter what. You know, every day. Right. You know, I'm gonna spend a substantial amount of my day doing all three of those things. So when you think about that first 10 years, with me starting in 1983 and then coming out in 93, like it was like being a monk, right? It wasn't like being a guy who watched a bunch of kung fu movies. It was like, no, we in the monastery, you know, and then, I mean, we all similar age range. I'm assuming hip hop was our religion, like it was our life. Oh, yeah, it wasn't just like, it was bigger than the internet, right? We was challenging each other on the knowledge. We was, you know, do you know the words? You don't know the word. You ain't even heard of that. You know, what records do you got? Like, it was our whole jam. It was more important than fashion because fashion wasn't obtainable. You know what I'm saying, though? We could spend $10 on one record and $5 on 5 cassettes, and we all be fresh with the new hip hop. You know, I had one pair of jeans for all of 6th grade. You know what I'm saying? So it was our and also it was a way for us to distinguish ourselves from. It gave us an identity, right? So it was my everything, and through it being my everything, I think we progressed really quickly to the point where we did have our own voices and styles by the time we dropped. But now I'm like, I think that if I met my young me now with the current skills I have, I would tear him apart. But he wouldn't know it. He wouldn't know it. He wouldn't know it though. You see what I'm saying? Though he'd be doing a lot of dribbling and he'd be dunking. I'm just 3 after 3. I'm still, you know, boom, boom. He'd be playing his ass off. You know, he'd be getting all that kind of shit. But then when he looked up at the score, he like, damn, I got smoked. Why didn't y'all tell me? You know what I'm saying? Like, because he didn't have no defense. He just, you know, young, you get the youthful hubris, right? But also like the things you're impressed by when you're a younger cat are not the same things that you're impressed by now, you know? So I'm more impressed by almost somebody who makes something rhyme than it being a 1-for-1 rhyme. Right. You know, like to me, and or something where it's like we got a 6 syllable and then we got a 7 or 8 syllable, but then they drop the other 2. It's an A and an and or something in there, but those 6 still fit. You know what I'm saying? Rather than it being just a brick of 6 on top of 6, it's like that 8 sits on top of that 6, but it makes a more pleasing shape to me than just a square of equal rhymes. Or I'm like, oh man, he just rhymed 20 syllables back to back. Average practitioner or listener is only going to hear the last 5 or 6. Right. You know what I'm saying though? If you the things that impress me are different. So I really feel like I would tear a hole in my young self, but he wouldn't even know it. He'd just look down and just be like, oh shit, there's a hole in me. But I mean, he'd still be flailing. He'd still be flailing. He'd still be flailing. I'm glad we had our own voice, but I know that now all this time that it's taken us to develop and get better, we're so much better. Like when I'm listening to our new album, I'm just like, damn, this is the best music we've ever made. And I feel like that every record we create, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the record we just made with Adrian Young, and when I say we just made, it's 10 years old now, which is crazy. Like, I think that's a masterpiece. Like, I don't, you know, it's a story. It's got Snoop and Busta on there. It's all no samples, but it all sounds like samples. It's we going in and out. We like it's great, and I think that we've topped that with the new record. And it's not a story. It's not a concept album. It ain't this type of samples or that type of samples. But just like everybody's playing with such ease, you know, and it might not be a lot of dunks. It's a lot of finger rolls and, you know, ankle breaking more so than dunks. But what it's not is a lot of fucking dribbling. And I'm tired of us giving props to dudes who just got a handle. Like, man, you got a handle. Shoot the fucking ball, dude. Like you're not. And when I say that, I mean that there's no content. You know what I mean? No, it's just and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, some people could not even go there. I'm just gonna say it's a lot of dribbling going on right now, and not a lot of shooting. And then there's also a lot of dunking going on. I would say that the guys I think who are the most seen as the illest right now, they dunking a lot, but it's not a lot of finesse moves. And for somebody who loves the game, I want to see some finesse. I mean, I'll go watch a women's basketball game because they skills is on point, you know, and it's not the same power moves that you see in a men's basketball game. The pace is different, but they setting picks. Their rotation is crazy. Their handles is good too. They shot selection, all these different things. And I think that to get that appreciation, you have to almost be a practitioner, because when I explain these things to lay people, they sometimes look at me like I'm crazy or I'm hating, or they completely don't get it. They'll be like, that's a 6-syllable rhyme. And I'll be like, nah, that's a 3-syllable rhyme twice. You know what I mean, though? Or that's a 3-syllable rhyme 20 times, right? But that's not a 6-syllable rhyme. That's just, you know, anybody can do a 3. That's easy. Or this is a 2-syllable rhyme, a bunch of da 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 da. And it's like that to me. That's like you dribbling, like
right.
I want to hear complex rhyme patterns, but not forced. Grime does it well. Dance hall does it well. You know what I'm saying? Though they really, I feel like, are ahead of us because they're using the beat to guide them. And at some point, we decided that lyrics were more important than beats, not in just that they take precedence.
Right.
And then also like who are the two old guys? Basil and two old white dudes. Oh man, you ain't heard of these dudes? Oh, you got to listen to they some grime rappers, or I guess it's drill now. But I'm just gonna look for them. Hold on, I'm sorry.
No, take your time.
And the funny thing is, I understand exactly what you're saying, because even from the sports analogy, I always tell people that these young boys are more athletic, but their basketball IQ is lacking.
Low.
You know, and like that's the thing, like the basketball IQ. I always said if you tried to run the triangle offense with these new school kids, their heads would just explode. They wouldn't even be able to understand the complexities of learning the triangle, you know.
And that athleticism is exciting, but that doesn't make it
old real quick. And it gets old,
right? I mean, we look at the NBA, the viewership is down, everything, because what they doing? They're going down shooting a 3. It ain't no rebounding. It ain't no. I mean, the ball rotation is just to set up a 3. You know, like it's not the product in the end is adulterated almost by the incredible athleticism of all these guys.
Right.
You know,
right.
And because everybody's so good, it's almost like a team game isn't being played anymore. It's a game of individual stars, you know, and I want to see, you know, I want to see everybody touching the ball. I want to see unexpected, you know, Pete and Baz are these guys, but they're old. They're older. Pete and Basil. These are older grime dudes, right? From when I say old, I mean they're in their 70s. Look, you got to look these dudes up. But the way that they're constructing their rhymes, their punchlines, the fact that they're not saying like, and you know, their similes aren't always set up by likes and as, the metaphors, all that, like what they're doing with it, to me, it's like, oh, you niggas is 70. Like, why wouldn't you be better? Like, what? Why? Of course you're more clever than a young motherfucker, because you're smarter. You have more experience. You've done all these different things, but things like that. There's a lot of grime MCs that's like that. Crazy Titch, he's locked up. I mean, it's the grime MC, to me, grime and dancehall, and it's as far as lyricism and content, are ahead of American rap, I guess we'll say. Not American rap, standard rap.
Standard rap.
Because the tempos and what the conventions of what they do is different. You know, when you think about British humor, it's drier. It's not all in the thing. They got that thing where they do the rhyme and slang, so they say Chevy Chase instead of face and things like that. But that's what made rap subversive. You know what I'm saying? Though, when you listen to Rakim, it was like deciphering a puzzle. Right. You know, well, if that don't slow him down, I carry a full pack. Like, that's some gangster shit, right? But as a kid, I'm like, he must have been of rhymes. You know what I'm saying? No, because I'm a kid, and it's the same as the Masonic information or anything where there's an initiated and there's levels to initiation. It's gonna mean something different to everybody. And everything we're doing is just out there in the open right now, to where we're talking about these little, like when we was little, we could sing Mary Jane. You know what I'm saying? No, because it was about a girl named Mary Jane.
Right. We ain't
You
know
know
it was
what I'm
about
saying,
weed. Right.
Nowadays, it's just like that's that booty meat. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a trip, man, because we've been given this gift of gab, and it's really been. I mean, this is in the Black tradition, right? And unfortunately, the Black tradition involves us dealing with an overarching system that wants our death and destruction. So this gab is being used to communicate things that are kind of to make sure Master don't hear it. And we've been so caught up in Master likes me and he'll pay me a lot if I do that damn song that he likes, you know, do that dance that he likes, that we losing the cryptic level. Exactly. And so we allowing everybody to be initiated. You know what I mean? You know, and I mean, like, there is gatekeeping. Don't gotta be, hey, you can't listen to this, or you can't say the N word, or you can't wear cornrows. And gatekeeping can be like, what you think that song is about? Oh, that song is about ice cream to you? Okay, you know, like that song is about crack. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. You feel what I'm saying? Or that song is about ice cream to you. That song is about chicks. You know, like, and then, you know, these are simpler, but we for some reason aren't in current rap. We're not using that subversive ability of things that mean different things to different people. And as a result, once again, the product is adulterated and the level to entry is low. You know, we got guys who can come in and do a Post Malone because they're allowed, and that's not, I'm not tripping off color, you know what I'm saying? No, but obviously Black experience is going to produce something different than another experience. What I'm saying is people can walk in easily, not just because the rap styles ain't complex, because the lyrics aren't complex, and not because the lyrics aren't using mythological, you know what I'm saying, astronomical words. It's because everything is in the front. You listen to old blues songs or Isley Brothers, any of this stuff, you know, and it's like the depth of a Curtis Mayfield song, like compared to the depth of even our greatest writers right now, it's like it's way up here. And we should be we got 50 years or 60 or 70 years of shit, right? And we got better tools, and we can sample him and chop him up. We should be better. And that's why I like Pete and Baz, because I'm like, oh, y'all, you niggas are 70. That's why your shit is so clever. I hope to be that dope when I get that age. I hope to be coherent when I get that age. But I hope to be looking forward to that, because I want records where after you hear it and you love it and all that kind of stuff, I'm gonna be like, yeah, those are all recipes. You know what I mean? Though, and if you listen to it, you'll be like, oh man, this nigga cooking beignets on this song. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be that kooky with it. You know, I want to be like, hey, pan my shit to the right, and all my ad libs is a whole nother song. You know what I'm saying? You know, shit like that. Those are the type of things. Or okay, write that rhyme out. Right? Type it out, and when you type it out, the word "and" is going down the middle. You know, like I want to do crazy, wild shit. Those are things that excite me right now. Is like, what can I do with the spoken word that is not just audible, and that is that when I say legacy, I want my fools to be and Easter eggs. I want them finding that shit years later. Like, you know, well, I mean, the song "The MC" by J Live, right? Where he just used the MC back to back.
Right.
I wouldn't have never told nobody that's what I was doing. And I bet you for years, I mean, of course he had to, because it's like, look, I'm great. Look what I just did. But I'm saying for years, cats would probably never even figure that out. Right. You know what I'm saying? No, because the way he did it was so dope. It's not, it wasn't just him just saying M word, C word, M word, C word. And I want to do that. That's what animates me as well, right? It's just doing things where you're going to uncover it and be like, this is an anagram. You know what I mean? I mean, I said one song where I was like, I feed on the feeble. I don't fade on the fable. Like, I want to do like, I change one vowel in this word and then it means something different. You know what I mean? Like things like that. And then I'm trying to figure out, what do I call that? Like, what is that called? When you change one letter of the word and then it has a different meaning from this rhyme previous. You know, like, I want to get into the esoteric levels of MCing.
I think you have to. I think in this day and age, you have to, because in order I think where we're at with MCing and lyricism, it needs to evolve to something else. it needs to kind of shift and change. Not that everybody has to go, but let's just keep expanding it. And there's a section in Prophet we were talking about like this thing of not being so direct about what the message is. There's a section where I talk about, MCing being a talking drum. Like we've gotten away from the talking drum. Like if I'm drumming over here, the tribe over there, or the slaves over there know what the conversation is without Massa knowing what the conversation is. And I think we've kind of strayed away from that a little bit. So
because Massa's buying it, right? Because Massa's buying it. We like Massa like this. Hold on, man.
So then that shifted the whole focus of everything. And I think those kind of things, because I mean, like for me right now, what I'm recording, I want to do everything in performance mode. I'm in the studio doing performance on record. Full out performance, because we need to do something more than what we've been doing. It needs to expand and elaborate more. I'm in complete. I'm so thankful for all the jewels that you dropped through this whole conversation, man. It's just been beautiful. Really beautiful.
I appreciate even being asked about that. Normally you ask, like you said, about the journey or about the fiscal side, or even what I like and don't like, but this is a sweet science, the same way boxing is a sweet science.
Exactly.
The same way, jiu-jitsu or I mean, like I think the battlers are doing it.
They're doing some things.
Their focus is chopping this guy down.
I got it. Yeah. I miss the days of those freestyle ciphers, like just ciphers when you meet with a bunch of cats, you get in a circle, and everybody's trying to be the best. Not necessarily to chop the other person down, but just to walk away. But like, that's how it was for us back in the day. Like, I remember MCs from like, I was in that cipher with that dude, and he was nasty.
That one cipher, right? It's like a basketball game with a crazy play. Like, ciphering is hell of important too. I don't know what happened. I mean, it's dangerous to cipher, I guess, nowadays because guys are very sensitive.
To battle, yeah.
Or it's only being done for content, right?
Right.
But the cipher is
gotta
where
put it on the gram.
Cipher is where you get good, and I think people don't want to fuck up because they know what's going on the ground, But I mean, I remember we battled Freestyle Fellowship, and it was just us and them. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't no press call. They showed up to Domino's house like, yeah, what you thought we wasn't finna pop up on you? Let's do it. You know what I'm saying?
Lovely.
But I'm saying like that was a pure moment. You know what I'm saying though? And we walked away from it like, oh, these guys are demigods. Like, oh my goodness, And I assume that the respect is mutual. But but then that we're most known for a wake-up show battle where it's like we on the radio, we can't curse. It's people taking pictures, you know what I'm saying? So you're not gonna get your best performance necessarily out of that. I mean, we battling against guys who are kicking writtens. I miss the pure freestyle cipher where you can skip up, flip up, or mess your words up and because that's where the new styles come from. That's where the new styles come. It's like a sparring match or a real boxing match versus something where you're fighting with swords or some sort of choreography. This is like like a dance.
What it is? It's almost like Professor X in the Danger Room with the X-Men. Like that's what it was supposed to be for. You go in the Danger Room, you practice, then you go out here and you rumble Magneto and all these other things. You know what I mean? So we need that. We need that Danger Room back. But bro, let me tell me about this new tour you're going on with Cypress.
Okay. Yeah.
And Pharcyde, the new Hyro album. Like, when can we expect it? What can we expect? Like, what's going on with you now?
We're recording a new album. We just dropped a single off of this compilation. It's called Yes, Lovely. So that just came out on the 9th. So that's out. And then we're making a new album that's going to drop in the fall. A new Souls of Mischief album. It's crazy. We got some cool special guests on there. Fools just pop up and show us love. So hopefully this will be taken, ingested and received well. We're going out in April with Cypress Hill and Pharcyde. So that should be cool, man. We just finished 125 shows last year for our 30th anniversary, and we're still within our 30th anniversary year, right? It started in September. So hopefully we'll go back to Europe. We're going to go to Latin America, Asia, and Africa. And just it's a trip because all our fans are 22 now. You know what I mean? Like they're all young. Like we're the oldest cats in the show. It might be 5 or 6, maybe 10 folks in our age range, and everybody else is young. And it's interesting because it's like I don't know if it's because we're a legacy act. I mean, partially it's because of the song 93 Till, but they're knowing the words to album cuts and deep cuts where I'm like, okay, streaming has really made a big difference in how these kids ingest the music. You know, because imagine if you could just pull up Stevie Wonder's entire discography. Like, oh, I heard about this guy named Stevie Wonder. He's pretty good. You know what I'm saying, though? And then you just pull this, like it's mind-blowing, but it's a lot to digest. But they're digesting it and regurgitating it at the show. So I'm excited about that. And hopefully the European shows we have are with Hyro. So we're trying to, out of the Souls records, the stuff that doesn't go on there, where maybe everybody didn't hop on or whatever, being like, okay, there's some space for 216s on here, you know, and maybe a Hyro record will grow out of that. But our music all has to grow organically. We don't, you know, we went independent. It's crazy. We've been out for 31 years. We've been independent 29 of those years. So, and that's another thing that took the pressure off, is that, okay, when we sell records, we make money, you know? So it makes it so that we don't have to have a radio hit. As long as people know that the record is out, we're going to make some dough. But being indie, you don't have to trip off this sort of release schedule. I wish we did a little bit more, because I feel like there's this window that gets smaller and smaller. But after going on this last tour over the last year, I'm like, oh, we damn near like in the first third. I don't even know if we're at the middle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No, like I think we're at maybe the first, if we maybe, you know, 3/8 of our career. You know what I'm saying? But not you know, like not a third.
It feels different. It feels different pre-tour. It's like, man, we may be on the last leg, but now it's like, oh, we good.
It's crazy because we had we not done it like that, we would have never known. So live show and interfacing with your fans is hella important, because it'll put a batter in your back when you thought that there was nothing left. And that's how you get better too. That's another thing when you ask about how the young MCs can get better. And like you said, what you're doing, you making it so it's live, you're recording it, but with the live performance in mind, right? MCing is a live art. Like recording is one thing, but music is a live art. You know, music is a live art. And so that should always be kept in mind when making stuff. Now, of course, there's studio albums and there's album cuts and there's stuff that's more relaxed. But for an MC, you should be able to duplicate that feeling and convey that feeling in a live set, right? And I think, you know, with all the technology we have, auto tune, all those different things, that might be getting lost as well. And we try to not. I mean, we're even stripping stuff down where fewer ad libs, fewer doubles, and all that kind of stuff, because we want it to where when you hear it live, it's better than even the recording. And because that's from this last tour. Like fools are like, y'all, how y'all sound better in real life? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, because we rap, like we really rap, and we got the Cold Crush, Run DMC method of MCing, right? It's four guys on the stage. Our ad libs is going to hit. You know, we move like a machine more. You know, I think Smith and Wesson does that really well. You know, where it's like they're one being when they're performing live, and we kind of try to move like that, where we're not overbearing on the ad libs. You know, we talk to each other about, okay, pull back on this one. I need just you two on this one. Okay, if you're going to say this, it's got to hit right here, because if not, it's going to throw the rest of my rhyme off.
Right.
But live shows, you're gonna really build your chops live, and that could be rhyming on the corner with get money on your hat. It doesn't have to be that you have these big shows, but you can't. If you MCing is MCing, right? It's masters of ceremony, right? The ceremony is a big part about it. It's not just mastery. Like you can flibbity tibbity as much as you want in the mirror. If the ceremony isn't mastered, then you just a word master or a wordsmith, and that's cool too. There's nothing wrong with being that too, but that's not what the era we come from, right? We come from an era where it's like, I don't care who I hop on stage with, I'm gonna impress you with something because I'm an MC. Right. You know what I'm saying? Though, if I'm hosting, I'm gonna impress you with something. I got something, and I don't care if I'm at a Playboy Cardi show or a Cardi B show or a Cardan show. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't matter who it is. I'm gonna have something because I've honed my sword through live activity. You know,
that's dope.
You can't be a studio rapper. You know,
that's dope.
we got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. Hella excited, man. We got some new videos coming out for the Yes Lovely song and this new album. I don't want to. We haven't decided on the title. You know, I'm in a group, so these
right.
actually making.
Right.
We don't have no titles for none of the songs or nothing, but a lot of cool cameos. I mean, it's 4 of us, so getting guest rappers is kind of different, but we got some cool dude doing some hooks and, you know, popping up here and there and all that kind of stuff.
That's
and
dope.
I'm excited for the world to hear it because I really think that we are at a point where we can take risks. And if we don't take risks now, then we miss our window, right? I don't think we need to take risks later. While we have these young folks' ear, you know, I mean, like 93 Till just went gold. It's almost platinum already. Like it just went gold. And just from people hearing that it's gone gold, now where they've been listening to so much, it's about to go platinum, you know, like, so we have here the time to take these chances because you never know when this next thing is going to pop up. But it will. I'm saying, like, this is to all MCs, especially those who are skilled, you know, like drop records, rhyme live, like don't hoard the music. Like the people have to hear the music. I understand it's therapy and we're doing it for ourselves off top, but the way, you know, with Distro Kid and all, like, there's no reason why your music, same with producers, like Kil, you should have volumes of beat. I understand producers be like, this my shit. If a nigga buy my shit, I'm gonna kill him. I'd rather not catch somebody. I'd rather just, but also like you can put these volumes out, and if somebody uses it and makes a hit out of it, you're gonna get paid twice. But there's no reason, especially with the lo-fi and ambient and type beat world that we live in now. There's no reason why you don't got. I mean, the shit you said, I'm like, what? Like, what? You know, like like that shit need to be out because that shit could be playing on YouTube in the background or in the background of these TV shows or whatever, and be just getting you chips. You know what I'm saying? While you sleep.
Nah. You 100% right, bro.
Put your shit out because they need it. The youngsters need it, and they're looking for it. They not for every rapper who's like, oh, you old ass niggas, all y'all do is talk about the 90s and da 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 and da da da. There's hella fools who are just like, have you heard of this guy named Micah 9? And I mean, like, I have, yes. They're like, he's like, why isn't he not the biggest rapper of all time? And I'm just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Though, like, or, you know, have you heard of Del the Funky Homo Sapien? You know, and these is youngsters, you know, 16 saying this to me. Well, they'll see me in a Hyro shirt, and be like, yo, you ever heard of Del? You know, and I'm like, yeah. I don't even bust their bubble. You know, I'll be like, yeah, that nigga's ill, right? And they'll be like, yeah, you heard that Deltron 3030? Yo, I didn't even listen to hip hop before that, you know, and so they need it. And while we're still young enough and cool enough and hip enough, I mean, cats always walk up to us, yo, y'all are OG. How did y'all maintain your swag? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, first of all, it's not swag, right? This is just who I am. I'm not trying to maintain anything. I just found the thing that I like and kept it. Like, they're watching when we don't think they're watching, and they're paying attention and taking notes, and they're in need of these. Like, I grew up in a single, like, I know my dad. I fucks with him like that. I ain't like that. But I grew up in a single parent household. Like Kane, KRS, Rakim, like they were grown men to me and helped me build myself and my character and how I carry myself and all that kind of stuff. These youngsters are in need of that, not because of men wearing nail polish. They know whatever. That's your swag. That's your thing. You do it. Not because of guys who are, you know, want to wear, you know,
I know what you're saying.
That's his style. That's just style. They're just in need of alternatives, not even alternatives, variety, so that they can decide and pick what kind of cat they want to be. They mix it all up. That's cool too. But not having that variety presented is doing a great disservice to our young men and women. It's the same with, you know, for every Rhapsody, there's a Sexy Red. For every Cardi B, there's a Sa Rock or whatever. The fact that the young sisters don't know about Sa Rock or Rhapsody, or maybe just only know about Sa Rock and Rhapsody, but not about a Psalm 1, or, you know what I'm saying? You know, all these other folks. It's like, you know, Backwoods Suite or whatever. Like, it's we need to be presenting them with all these alternatives, not because one is good and one is bad, just because we're multifaceted beings, and if we don't know these things exist, we either get on that weird thing where how all these youngsters are saying this guy was the first person to do this, and we're like, nah,
Right.
been doing that for at least 20 years before that guy existed.
Right.
Or they just don't know. They just don't know. So they're only choosing from,
what they got in front of them.
3 or 4 choices. So
Right.
all MCs that's listening to this, like, put your shit out. Go rock. Hit the open mics. Like, I still be hitting ciphers and open mics and shit. Because I be trying to blow niggas' doors off. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, I be trying to do the drunken monk, who stumbles into the fight in the
Right.
in the Kung Fu movie, and then he's fighting, and all of a sudden his mask come off, and they be like, "Oh, it's Chow Fei! Oh my gosh, Master, we didn't know. We're so sorry." You know what I'm saying? They're like, I want that kind of response, but I don't want it because of my face. I want it because of what's coming out of my
the
face.
skills. That's what it is. That's what it is. Well, bro, we appreciate you chopping it up with us tonight, man. So many jewels,
I know
man.
it's
Where can they?
there, man. I appreciate y'all.
No. Where can they get at you, man? Where can they get at you?
Hieroglyphics.com, soulsofmischief.com. On all socials, I'm Rap Noir, so RAPNOIR on Insta, and what's the other thing? Twitter, or whatever it's called now. Also, man, I got a hotel and recording studio and venue down in Panama. It's called Bliss Beach, Panama. So go to blissbeachpanama.com. Go down there, record your whole album. You can rehearse. This is something we got horses, we got boats, all this type of stuff. I want us to be taking these types of retreats so that we can do writing retreats. So maybe you and your team can go get away for a week or a month or whatever and come back strong with new records and, full of fresh fruits and fresh fish and all that. So check out Bliss Beach, Panama too. And watch out for that new Souls of Mischief album. But yeah, I'm Rap Noir. Check me out. My social media persona is a little bit more abrasive than my regular human persona because it's my id, right? It's my id speaking. It's not me. But DM me, hit me. I'm a regular person. I love this shit. I love our people. I love the fact that we can have these type of conversations and that we even care enough to have these conversations. So, man, I appreciate y'all brothers for reaching out. Obviously, I guess this has been bottled up inside of me for a second because you never really get asked, well, what do you do? You ask, what are you doing? But y'all ask, well, what do I do? And
right.
And because we're all practitioners, we all have these different perspectives, but this is what makes what we do the sweet science. You know what I'm saying, though? This is what makes what we do important because, like you said, the talking drum is what's going to free us. That's really what's going to free us. It's not going to be the dollar. It's definitely not going to be the petrodollar. It's going to be the information and knowledge that we share with each other in a way that protects us and keeps masses' foot off our neck because it's time to get out of this paradigm that we're in. We've been in it too long. We're way too capable of doing our own thing to be still up under somebody who ain't finna change. Like they'd rather burn the world down than to share the world.
Anytime is up. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Where can they get at you, bro?
Oh man, this ain't about me. Thank you, Taj. You know what I mean? Nah, man. Just I'll say this that the next we're doing the next Prophet performance is happening at Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago in May. Looking forward to that. We'll be airing this show before that happens. I'm so excited about what's happening with Hyro, what's happening with Souls. Looking forward to all these things that are coming down the pipeline and just these conversations. I really thank you for coming in and just really talking about MCing from a different perspective than what we're used to hearing. So thank you so much again for just being on the show with us. Kil, as always, it's always a pleasure to be on anything with you, brother. So I just always appreciate you as well.
I appreciate it, bro. And you already know where to get at me, Kil889, Twitter, IG, willmakebeatsforfood.com, apartment 5B. You already know what it is, man. So Tajai, again, we appreciate it, brother. Thank you for your time, man. And we definitely catch up with you, bro.
Hell yeah, y'all be cool. Peace.
Until it's a world, it got dark, until the centurion said, surely this must be the Son of God.